going to start a new PowerPoint. Blank presentation. And before we do anything else, we're going to apply a theme. We're going to choose a theme because this is a boring blank theme. So let's go to Design tab and apply a theme. Just for a little bit of help regarding the midterm next week, Friday, it's going to be two projects, a Word project and a PowerPoint project. You will be giving instructions like that. Start PowerPoint, apply a theme, and I'll probably name a theme, and modify the theme. So here's what we're going to do for this one. We're going to apply the WISP theme, and we're going to modify it. WISP, so Design, come to find the theme, designated WISP, click, and now we want to modify this theme. We can choose variants over here, but I want you to know how to modify the slide master. So View, Slide Master, and slide all the way up. I like to call this slide the Super Master slide. Click on that, and we're going to modify the graphics of the master slide. Remember, it's the one way at the top, the larger than all the rest. That's the one that rules all the other templates up. And we're going to adjust the graphics here. We're going to make this grass a little more interesting, a little thicker. So I'm just going to select some of the strands of glass, Control-C copy, Control-V paste, and then maybe rotate it a little bit just to give a little variation on the grass, a little thicker grass. Choose a little strand, Control-C copy, Control-V paste, and adjust it a little bit to your taste. You don't have to do it exactly like I'm doing, but try to make it like a little thicker grass growing. We want a little more vegetation here. I can adjust its position. I can give it a little rotation difference, just to show you have control over your master slide, over the design, and it's usually by editing the master slide. I'll do a couple more adjustments. Copy, paste, move, and it's your own choice. I'm making them all curve the same way. If you'd like yours to curve the other way, you could flip it. If you want the grass to go slightly different way, just to show, just a little variation on that theme. And I'll do one more. I'm going to get this big tall one. And adjust them down a little bit. And a tiny rotation. A little thicker grass now. There we go. And then once I'm done with that, editing of that, I can close the master view. You are going to be asked to put your name on every title, on every slide. We'll be coming back to that when we're doing the word art part of it. But right now we've just modified the grass, and I can close. Now every slide will have that new thicker grass on it. I don't want a title slide to start with though. I'm going to choose a title with content for this first slide. Since by default it gives me a title slide, I need to change the layout, not add a new slide. I'm going to change the layout to title and content. I don't need a title on this. Now in the book they have you delete the placeholder, but I'm going to leave it there because I might decide to have a title later, or if I have a different design, and I know that messing with placeholders messes it up when I try to change my design theme some other time. So I'm going to leave it there, and I want to insert a chart. It's going to be a pie chart. And it looks like my book has stopped responding. We might be having internet troubles. I'm not getting my book to show up anymore, my online book. Oh, maybe coming back. Oh, it did come back. Ooh, thank you. All right, so we're going to insert a chart, and the chart type that we're inserting is a pie chart. So how do I insert? I'm using the placeholder here. Remember with the placeholder, what it means is the chart that gets inserted is going to be fit. It's going to fit within the rectangle of the placeholder. So I could go to the insert chart and independently bring in a chart. I'm going to insert a pie chart, choose the 3D style, and then click OK. And it's filling my placeholder with a pie chart. Before we worry about formatting of that, let's give it some clean data. I'm going to zoom in on that little Excel spreadsheet that pops up for you. This Excel spreadsheet is the data that will be reflected in the slices of pie over here. So let's adjust our titles of our rows, and we'll see our legend will change as I adjust things. And the titles of the column is going to be, I think, sleep stages. 5 sleep stages is going to be the title that will show here. So let's change sales here, and we'll see that the title of my slide will change. 5 sleep stages. Once I hit enter or arrow down away from that cell, I guess I have to hit enter, and now the title shows up over here. The stages are going to be listed here. I'm just going to click on that cell and just start typing. Stage 1. I don't have to select the text. Just click on that cell and start typing. Stage 2. I hit enter. It takes me down to the next cell. Stage 3. Or I could arrow down to get down to my next cell. Stage 4. And there is another stage we call REM. Rapid Eye Movement. Notice I don't see it showing up here until I arrow away from that row, and now it shows up as an additional item in the legend, which is horrible to read. Can hardly tell from that tiny little dot what color that is referring to. And now for the times to go in the cell, we're putting in the numbers 5, stage 1, 5 minutes, I believe, 50 minutes. Stage 3 is another 5 minutes. Stage 4 is 15 minutes. And REM is 25. And I believe you go through this cycle multiple times at night. My little Fitbit doesn't tell me what cycle I'm in, but it does tell me what quality of sleep I've had. I've got a knockoff Fitbit. I can always come back and edit my data. Before I close that, I'm going to make sure I have the right numbers in there. And looks like I do. I'm going to close it. Now if I ever want to edit the data, notice up here in chart design, I can edit the data here and bring up that little table again. Okay. So my slide is showing up in this format. Let's make it fill our slide a little bit. If I play this, it's a little tiny in the middle of a lot of free space. Let's enlarge it a little bit. I'm going to hit escape. Let's adjust the size of that. I can adjust it with the corner fill handle, or I can grab it and position it. Now, clicking the chart, here's a little trick. If I click once and move it, depending on where I clicked, it behaves differently. So you got to be super careful where you click on these things. Click once and make sure that you're on the outer border if you want the whole thing to be adjusted. If you click inside and move, sometimes it behaves differently than what you expected. It blows up. So be careful when you click once and then click again. Strange things can happen. So the order of clicks and where you click makes a difference on these charts. So I can resize it, and now I want to also adjust my font of my title. And before I do that, I want to choose a different chart style. That is up here in the chart design page, where I have different styles available for me. Let's do the little extra, expand that, not many more to expand. And we would like to choose the style 5. That's style 6, there's style 5. And see, each style gives a little different variation of the view of it, how the legend looks, whether or not pieces of the pie are labeled. We can adjust these manually as well. But let's go ahead and choose style 5 to start with. We'll be modifying it more later. That placeholder with the title behind there, if you're annoyed by that sitting there, you could delete it or you could just ignore it. It's not going to show up when I show my slide because it's just the placeholder. We are going to adjust some things here in the graphics though. And this is where you got to be careful where you click and how many times you click. I click once in the piece of the pie, just once right on the pie, and I can adjust things. Question?
My chart is not showing.
Let's see what we have. Oh, take away the minutes out of your numbers. Those are only numbers down there. Don't have the word minutes in any of those. Just 5. Yeah, backspace over the space. There we go. See, it didn't know how to read that as a number, so just change it to 50 instead of 50 space minutes. Just type the number 50. You can edit it or just retype it. There we go. You'd think it would have said something like, sorry, I need numbers there, instead of just not giving you a slice of the pie. Interesting thing that we just learned here, that if you're over there in your pie and you edit the data, I hadn't noticed this before, but if you have something there that can't be configured a number, say I had a fat fingered a S or something instead of the number 5, that piece of the pie, it doesn't know what to do with that piece of the pie, so it just ignores it. Come back and fix the number to be 50, and now I have that slice of the pie back. So yeah, those have to be numbers, or it doesn't know what to do with the slice of the pie. Okay. Remember I said, but where you click makes a difference. If I click once here, I see dots all the way around each slice of the pie. If I click again on one slice of the pie, now just that piece of the pie is what's selected, and anything I do will only apply to that slice of the pie. So I'm going to click off again, off the side, and now just click once in the middle, and then I'm going to come over to my format and change my shape outline of my pieces of pie that are selected to be a dark red. To make that more obvious, I can increase the shape outline weight to be a little larger. What's ugly about this is the legend that hardly had readable dots at now when I apply a border to it, I can hardly read the colors in the legend. And I played a little bit last time. I could not find a way to actually change the border here without applying the border here. It's like any border applies to legend and the slices of the pie. So we applied a border and a weight. And remember how we clicked. We clicked off of it and then click once in the middle of our pie and then apply the border to that entire pie. If I click again and I apply a border, that border would apply to just that slice of the pie because I had clicked twice. And there's a slight clue there. You see the little fill handles are only on that slice of the pie. So hit escape or click off of it, and then now I have the entire pie. Anything I apply now will apply to the whole pie chart. All right, we're going to the next slide, and we're going to be inserting a table. This one doesn't have a title. We'll be coming back to that. New slide, Control M gives me a new slide, or new slide gives me a new slide. And if I chose the wrong type of slide, I can always change the layout to something else. But we do want also a title and content on our second slide. This time we're inserting a table. And again, we're using the placeholder. I could have gone over to insert table up here. Somewhere there's insert table. Or there. Or I can use the placeholder. Remember, the only difference here is inserting table or using this. This just means that the table will fit in the placeholder. So it's a convenient fit my table within the placeholder. I'm going to give it a 2-column table, type 2 there, not 25, and 5 rows. I can use the spinner or type the number 5. And click OK, and a table appears exactly fitting that placeholder. The content of my table has to do with the recommended sleep for different age groups. So I'm type age, and if I hit enter, it doesn't take me down to the next cell. I have to arrow down or tab over to my next cell, 0 to 3 months. Arrow down 3 to 5 years. Arrow down 14 to 17 years. Arrow down 18 to 64. And we're purposely ignoring anyone over 64 right now. We'll come back to that. And then we're going to add the recommended sleep for those different age groups. The maximum hours, or sorry, minimum hours. There is a maximum hour we're going to be adding later. Minimum hours of 14 and 10, 8, and 7. Now it did give me a nicely styled table, but suppose I want to adjust the style of this table. See, if I don't have it selected, I don't see a table style design show up. If I click on it once, I have the table design showing, and to use table design, we would like to choose one of the many styles available to us. That was pretty good to start with, but they would like us to choose the green medium style 1 accent 4. I can always adjust my theme or choose quick styles on that, but we chose it from the built-in style. We're not done yet though. We would also not only like to have that style chosen, we would like to apply an effect of a shadow, perspective, upper left. Gives a slight shadow just there. Drop shadows are generally overused in graphics. That's not a terribly exciting, but there's lots of other presets, inner or outer styles. We're just choosing that perspective. And remember, if you want to go advanced and have complete control over your shadow, you can go to shadow options, and up pops this guy. You can adjust how large a shadow and with the angle of it, how much it blurs. You have lots of control over your shadow in the options. But you can use the built-in effect or go to the full option. So we're going to use the preset perspective. Choose a style, choose a shadow, and although we see underlines, if I show this slide, it doesn't show borders between the first and second column. So we would like to show borders, at least the column borders. To show borders, I'm again on the table design ribbon. I can come here and choose all borders, outside border, bottom left. Let's go ahead and go with all borders and see the effect. Oh, how come it only applied to that cell? Well, because my insertion point happened to be in that cell. If I want to apply it to all, either I select the edge of the table and then apply borders all, or I drag through all the cells that I want to apply border to and choose then borders, all borders. Another annoying thing, that if you're inside one cell and you can't hardly see that insertion point, there I can tell I'm there. What I apply for border only applies to the cell I'm in unless I have just the table selected. Now the borders apply to all. If I'm inside editing a cell in a table, if I can do a Control A, it does choose everything in that table. That's where the Control A behaves differently depending on where your insertion point is. Okay, so we have borders applied to all. And we applied the shadow effect, and I think now we're going to start editing that table. Yeah, the shadow effect. We would now like to apply an additional row after this row. To me, the most obvious thing would be the right click, and do I find an insert or add another row here? If I look up here, I don't see, but finally I find it right over here. With the right click, I do have an insert. And I click insert, and I want to choose an insert row below. I could have gone to my layout, and here's my insert there. Or I could have gone to insert. Does the insert show? No, the insert table. No, that's just the insert table. The home tab or the layout ribbon or the right click gives me this little menu of rows and columns, inserts, left and right, or delete. And now the added row is going to have this data in there, 65 plus. The recommended minimum hours of sleep for 65 plus is the same, is 7 hours. And the reason that we didn't have them listed as just 18 plus is because we're going to have another column here for the recommended maximum hours of sleep. And how do I get another column to the right? I'm going to right click, insert, column to the right. And this is going to be maximum hours. And the numbers I'm going to be putting there are 17 and arrow down 13. I can tab 3 times to get to my next row. I think the arrow down at this point is fewer clicks, and 9 hours maximum recommended at your age, and 8 hours maximum recommended 65 plus. And the title, we're going to put, I think, sleep requirements is I think the title we're putting in here. Sleep requirements. Now for my table, if we wanted to align things, I click on it once, and I can align my table underneath layout, or yeah, here's align. I can choose to align my table center, but that's a problem because my theme essentially uses up the left side of the page. So align center isn't the best. Let's grab that back and let's align it there with the title. Because of our design, we don't want things aligned centered on the slide because this is using part of our graphics. Let's adjust the size of this table. Although it does show my data when I play the slide, let's fill it a little better with visually. So I just grab the bottom of that, drag it down, something about like that, and it automatically stretches all my rows and columns. Let's go ahead, since I have my table selected, I do not have the insertion point anywhere. Let's center and vertically center all my entries. I think that looks a lot better. I do prefer right aligning row headings. Let's see how that looks. I'm going to right align that, just those row headings. Yeah, I'll go back. I think I'm happy with centered. I can, I think, adjust my font. Oh, I have those selected. Let's do a Control A, or just click on the edge of my table to select everything. And Control Shift greater than does increase my font for all of them, my font size. That's probably a little better. Visually, like to make the numbers nice and large. Now in the book, they would also like us to adjust our font. You'd think that you'd go adjust it. If I were adjusting my font, I would adjust it in my slide master, but they're going to individually adjust it just to show that they can. So I choose that and then apply a font instead of Century Gothic. I'm going to find Rockwell down in the R's, or start typing ROCK and choose the Rockwell. Oh, I actually was in just that word. Let me choose that whole title and change it to Rockwell. There we go. I want the whole title to be Rockwell. And I would also like there to be an additional piece of information down here telling their audience where I got my information from. So I come down here and click a text. I want a text box. There is a text box right there on the Home tab. I can insert a text box there. I also can do the insert text box there. Either way, I'm going to get the same thing. I can now come and draw a little area where I'm going to put the text source, National Sleep Foundation. I'm going to do a Control A and choose the font to apply to all of it to be Rockwell. So I have a table and a pie chart, and before we go any further, let's fix some things in our pie chart. Come back to here, and if I play the slide, even though this is there, that's not going to show up on my slide. My title on my pie chart is kind of small. Let's increase the title font size. And let's see if there's a way to increase the size of my legend so I can at least see the color that's supposed to be in there. The way to choose, remember how where you click makes a difference? If I click here, I'm selecting the slices of pie. If I click here, I am now adjusting anything in that title. And since I don't have the placeholder, I can Control Shift greater than and increase the font size of my title. And see, it does adjust the pie as my title gets larger. So something like that. And you know what? Since I chose Rockwell on the other, I'm going to go Rockwell on the font here as well to be a little consistent. Mixing fonts is just bad taste. If you would like to left align your title, you can adjust the position of your title. And there we have, oh, I think it's, I'm going to move that up a little bit. There we go. Okay, so I have my pie chart. Oh, let's adjust this font size as well. Click on it once and increase the font size of my legend. Makes it a little more readable. I'd prefer not to have the border around my legend, but last class I could not find a way to remove the border from the legend by going up here and trying Format, Shape Outline. I could not remove the outline from my legend. I don't know why it won't let me do that. Even though it says no outline, it's still there. Now we would like to do one more thing here before we end this phase of it. We would like to insert slides from another presentation. Now to me, this is the more natural way is to go open that other presentation and copy paste slides from it. And that's probably what you'll do. Unless you remember, there is this little known reuse slides options down here on the Home tab. For a new slide, reuse slides. What that means is it lets you go browse to where you may have another presentation and have a little dialogue for inserting slides from another presentation. So reuse slides, and then we're going to browse. Remember how we downloaded our data files for that first PowerPoint? We want to go to Module 3 of that download section where I downloaded my files over there. My CS101 folder, 2023 fall. Here's where we had downloaded. Remember we had downloaded and extracted the data for Module 3, or Module 1, 2, and 3. We didn't use Module 2, but Module 3, down in the Module folder, we have the reuse PowerPoint. Everyone able to find where that Module 3 is? That reuse PowerPoint then shows up here, and I could one by one, I think I could click and drag them into my presentation, or I could right click on any of them and do insert all slides. They were in a presentation with a dark background. When I do insert all slides, it comes in and inherits the design of my presentation. And now I have a slide with a picture in it and a slide with some interesting information about exposure to light. Once I'm done with the reuse, I can close that. Again, this to me, the more natural thing is to just browse over to that where that other presentation was. Find the presentation that I wanted to copy from down here in the module 3. Open it, and I could copy paste slides from it by just clicking Control-C copy, Control-C copy of all of them, and then come over to mine and Control-V paste. Oh, didn't like me doing that. Oh, and before I forget, I better do a Control-S. I haven't saved this yet. I've done all this work, have not yet saved it. I'm going to do Control-S save. And just a little advice for you, if it chooses OneDrive, since we did see a problem, I would say be careful if you're going to your OneDrive. Save it. I would browse to my PC or browse to other recently used folders just to make sure that we don't have troubles. I don't know if what the problem went today was an actual Schoology or if there's larger issues, but saving it locally is safer, especially if there's problems on your OneDrive. So I'm going to save it to my Section 2 PPT3 and my username JSmart, and I'll call it Sleep Presentation. You can save it to your OneDrive, but since we have been seeing more, this is, I think, the second time someone's had issues with some strange error when accessing it from the OneDrive. I'd say avoid using the OneDrive or treat the OneDrive as a backup. Keep a local copy in your documents folder for perhaps a backup. And we will, this is going to become our introductory slide. So I'm just going to click and drag that up to the top in my navigator. I can adjust my order just by clicking and dragging slides or arranging them. So save it there. Save what you have. And I'm going to check on Schoology here one last time. Nope, still unavailable. Try again later. And once you have it saved, you can head off to Chapel.